Welcome back to Gangs All Here, our New York Jets podcast from the New York Post. I'm Jake Brown. Follow me on Twitter at Jake Brown Radio. Listen to the show wherever you get podcasts and watch us on the New York Post Sports YouTube page. My co-host, Brian Costello, is going to join me in just a second, but I had to unleash my fury on the New York Jets. Why did I go? Why did I decide to make the trip, buy tickets, the tailgate, all that was good. Weather wasn't too cold. Weather was fine. But I'll always remember when a team loses like that on the way back, it is the most miserable time ever. Jets fall to the Chargers 27-6. Monday Night Football at MetLife Stadium. They fall to 4-4 on the season. They lose 27-6 in a game where the defense allowed just 136 passing yards to Justin Herbert. In a game where the defense sacked Herbert 5 times. In a game where Austin Eckler only had 47 yards on the ground. In a game where outside of Keenan Allen 77 yards, Eckler was the next leading receiver at 23. In a game where the Jets offense did it again. Enough is enough with Zach Wilson. 8 touchdowns in 8 games. He's got 8 fumbles in 5 games. Stop defending him throughout all the changes these other teams go through. Injuries, offensive line like the Jets have had, dropped balls, penalties, which the Jets had a ton of, poor play calling. You see every team with a backup come in and have some sort of semblance of success on offense. Aiden O'Connell, Raiders, first NFL start, bang. Yeah, you can argue the Giants stink, but look what the Jets offense did to that Giants defense. They did nothing. O'Connell comes in there, bang, leads them to a 30-6 win. Gardner Minshew out here winning games. Tyson Bagent has success moving the ball and scoring points for the Bears. Josh Dobbs, a guy that you could have traded for, and if he starts last night for the Jets, they win the game. Josh Dobbs didn't know his teammates' names for the Vikings and went out and won. And was scoring points, running with the football, throwing it down the field. He doesn't even know the playbook. This is season 3 of this freaking garbage with Zach Wilson. Stop the defense. Stop defending him. He's not an NFL quarterback. It's that simple. The Jets winning games and the defense and however the hell they're scoring touchdown, the ugliness has masked just how bad he still is. Last week, he was terrible too. The wins, he's been not very good. Some weeks he's just fine, and we accept it. When can we accept good quarterback play? When we're all dead? When Aaron Rodgers comes back? Great, he's throwing the ball down the field, 3-step drops. It might be too late by the time Rodgers gets back. This could end up being the downward spiral that the Jets had last year. Now, you hope it's not. You hope you go out and beat the Raiders. You got the Bills and then the Dolphins after that. But you set yourself in a pretty crappy boat with that performance last night. People don't realize throughout the different O-lines, throughout the different receivers, throughout the poor play calling, there's been one constant when the Jets offense sucks like this. It's the quarterback. He doesn't see the ball down the field well. Many a times, like last night, getting sacked 8 freaking times. He doesn't get rid of it. There's times where he's about to throw where he's surrounded by defenders where you're like, just take the sack. That led to a fumble, and the Chargers would go on to score that second touchdown. The first one, I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, nothing's going right. Terrible punt coverage. They give up a punt return for a touchdown. You didn't have that drawn up on your bingo card for Monday night. The baby face of the franchise doesn't mean you can keep treating him like the baby. Put the Pampers back on the shelf, remove the diapers, and end the Zach Wilson experience. Take your loss, eat it. You missed on the second pick, Joe Douglas. He's not the guy. He's not the quarterback you envision out of BYU that thrilled you in practice, that thrilled you with his long throws at the combine with the power arm. What power arm? They never throw it down the field. Make the switch. Trevor Siemian should be starting in Las Vegas on Sunday night. If it's Tim Boyle, fine. Make Tim Boyle the starting quarterback. The locker room cleared out quicker than ever. They don't want to be in the same room as Zach Wilson. They don't want to be in the same room. This thing can get dysfunctional. It's only 4-4 now, but if this offense keeps going like this, it could get bad. And I'll say this. There were plenty of other things wrong outside Zach Wilson. Of course, anyone who watched that game, it's not all Zach Wilson. Listen, Al Lazard can't catch a ball in sight. On top of Al Lazard dropping everything, penalty after penalty, man. He had a couple of huge penalties. And the Jets had so many penalties, bad penalties, that killed this football team. The offensive line was not great. They did not open a lot of holes for Brees, 16 for 50. There were holds. There were illegal man downfields. There were illegal form. There was every kind of penalty in the book, it felt like. The fumble by Garrett Wilson, that can't happen. It seems like it's a trickle-down effect, and everyone now is making a mistake. But it starts with your quarterback. And it's time to shift the blame to him and stop blaming everyone hurt on the O-line. You know, the other thing with the defense, I mean, the difference in the game. Pick up a fumble. They couldn't catch a break. The Jets lose 3 fumbles. Chargers recover all 3. The Jets force 3, can't recover 1. That's a big difference in this game. But we've come to that point where you're begging the Jets defense to get a turnover and hopefully run it back. Once the Chargers scored that punt return, I was like, this thing might be over. And I know that's hard to say early, but that was the extra touchdown. That is an absolute killer. But the Zach Wilson, as my buddy Jake Asman will say, truthers. You got to see yourself out. Your time's up. 6 points against the 32nd ranked pass defense. If you're keeping track at home, there's 32 teams in the NFL. 6 points against the worst pass defense in the NFL. They got a lot of problems, but he's the biggest one of them. And he has been. Year 3. Enough is enough. On top of that, and I'll bring Kaz on after this here, Nathaniel Hackett's got to deserve blame too. I know a lot of times we blame play callers, and you'll say, Jake, what do you want him to do? Reverse? I mean, that 3rd and 4 pitch was one of the worst calls in the history of the sport. I mean, I don't know how he thought that was going to work, and of course they fumble it. But every first down, they run the ball. I'm not asking for creativity. Throw it. And listen, that shows you the faith they have in Zach Wilson and how bad he is. Because they're scared to throw the ball with him on first down. The most predictable play calling I have ever seen. Run, first down, run. Death, taxes, Jets running on first down. I mean, the Chargers defense had a cakewalk. I mean, life was easy for them on Monday. Just easy. But Hackett, you got to have some creativity, man. But if you're not going to be creative with Zach Wilson, make the move. It's time. It's time for the Jets to put a backup quarterback in. And listen, they fumbled that too. They had a shot to get a Dobbs, to get another backup quarterback. And they said, we'll sign Trevor Siemian, who's still not elevated, practice squad, and we'll have Boyle. And Boyle hasn't touched the field. So it shows you Boyle's probably here because maybe he played long Aaron Rodgers and knows the playbook, knows the system. Jets went very much with knows the system versus knows how to play football. And if Boyle can't play football, then you're 0 for 2. And then you just got to throw Siemian in there. But you're going to see once you do and when you do, and you should make that change at quarterback, that this offense will have more success. And then you'll say, you're not going to say, oh, well, Dwayne Brown was back. You're not going to say, oh, well, Alan Lazard caught a few balls. You're going to say the quarterback made all the difference. And I'm sick and tired of this bull crap. Baby face bull crap from Zach. Zach is whack. Don't bring him back. All right, let's bring in Kaz now. Do we need t-shirts? Kaz was right. Kaz, you got people. Let us know what your emails look like first off. Let's go with that.
I'm kind of shocked, Jake, at how many people are defending Zach Wilson this morning. I've gotten a lot of that. Just here's the thing. There's a lot of bad things about this offense, right? You can point to Nathaniel Hackett. The play calling is not good. You can point to the offensive line. You can talk about the penalties. And you're right. Those things are all bad. It's all bad. But that doesn't excuse Zach Wilson. And he's the number one problem with this offense right now. I think a part of a quarterback's job is overcoming problems on an offense. Zach can't overcome anything right now with this. So, he's not hiding any of the issues on the offensive line. You've got basically 3 backups right now playing. I mean, Tippmann's kind of a pseudo backup, but like Tippmann, Mitchell, Turner, the quarterback has to help those guys out. And, that's not happening. They just have no margin for error with him, Jake, just none. And because there's just nothing going on. I mean, he's not throwing interceptions, I should say. He fumbled twice, but
he's fumbling eight fumbles in 5 games. So
yeah, I mean, he's fumbling a lot. He's not throwing the interceptions anymore. But you wonder if that's because he's now become so safe. He's trying to be so safe with the ball that's leading to some of these other issues like the sacks and things. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just shocked at that. It feels like Jets fans have twisted themselves into a pretzel since Rodgers went down, trying to believe in Zach. Right? It was like the immediate thing after that was like, okay, maybe we'll be all right with Zach. The Patriots game, they were kind of off him after that game. Then he plays really well against the Chiefs. Played very well in that game. And everyone's like, okay, he's good. He's fixed. He's great. And then since that game, I feel like people have just kind of overlooked the issues that were with him because they've been winning games. But, they have 8 touchdowns in 8 games, Jake, on offense. The quarterback's job is to get the ball in the end zone, and they're not doing it right now. And 4 of those 8 plays are one-play drives, meaning, Brees or Garrett hit a big play, or the Eagles game where they got the ball at the 8 and Brees scored. So this is like I've kept saying it after the wing. It's not a sustainable way to win. And, you can win with Zach Wilson, but you've got to be able to move the ball a little bit. And it's just not happening right now.
Yeah, the whole Jake eat crow, Zach performed well in that moral victory to the Chiefs. Well, you're seeing who he is. You're seeing what he is. And like you said, and I said this in the open, I said, of course, there's other issues, the offensive line injuries, Alan Lazard dropping every ball in sight, Alan Lazard committing bad penalties left and right, the fumbles, the turnovers, the defense not being able to pick up a fumble killed them, which you can't blame the defense. They held Justin Herbert to 136 yards. The defense
gets a total pass, Jake, right? They get a pass. Yeah. Yes, it would have been nice if they got some takeaways. There was fumbles to be had. Jordan Whitehead had a ball in his hands. But, they played phenomenal. They are not to blame for this one. So
I said I knew once the punt return touchdown, I was like, oh, that's another touchdown you're going to have to get from defense or special teams because, Zach's not going to do it.
The margin for error, Jake, is it doesn't exist, right? Like you can't overcome anything. And so you say, like you see, oh, okay, they give up a punt return for touchdown. Oh, Garrett fumbles. Oh, Zach fumbles. It's like, okay, they can't win like this. So it's a hard way to play football right now, Jay. There's a pretty like, pretty basic thing that you can go with here. You don't have to get deep into X's and O's. If you don't score touchdowns, you're probably not going to win. And they did it the last couple of weeks. Somehow they found a way against the Giants and the Eagles where they didn't score much and they won, but you can't do that week after week.
8 touchdowns, 8 games. The league average in Zach's rookie year completion percentage is 64.7. His is 56.6. So he's way below league average. He's 11-18. He has 20 touchdowns and 23 interceptions in those 29 games, which is inexcusable. All the defenders just got to go in hiding. It's time's up. It's over. And I said, stock the Pampers up. Stop making the baby face, making him a baby. Grow up. Bench his ass. Enough's enough, guys. Like, is this the week? Boyle must really suck, because at this point, how do you not make the change? And I said, look at O'Connell, Aiden O'Connell. Look what he did. Look at Josh Dobbs, doesn't know his teammates' names and leads an incredible comeback win for the Vikings. Look at all these backups. Badgett, who no one's heard of, is scoring points for the Bears. Like every other backup. Look at every other backup Jets have had. Josh Johnson. Chris Streveler even moved the ball down the field. Joe Flacco. Like, I would beg for Joe Flacco at this point. That's how bad it's going with this offensive line. Maybe not. But, I'd beg for any other quarterback. Is this the week, Kaz? Raiders week. I hate to use the word must win again. But with the Bills and Dolphins after that. And that's what makes this worse. The Bills lost. The Dolphins lost. The Patriots lost. It was like the Red Sea's parting for the Jets to be half a game out of first, and they did. Is this the week you go to either Boyle or you activate Trevor Siemian?
No, I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I think, look, you won three in a row, and now this was a bad one. I don't think those guys are a major upgrade, Jake. Like,
they're not a downgrade.
It's hard to say they could be worse, but they could. Like, look, he's not throwing interceptions. Like he's saying, turn the ball. He's not throwing interceptions. These guys could come in. I mean, you saw Trevor Siemian last year start for the Bears, right? And the Jets rolled them with Mike White at quarterback, their last one of the year last year. He's not a good quarterback. And I can't say I've seen Tim Boyle play very much, but what I saw in training camp didn't blow me away. So I think Zach's ceiling is so much higher than those guys that you have to just keep rolling them out there and hoping you can figure something out at some point. But look, Max Crosby's going to kill him. I mean,
exactly. It's got to be a short leash, right? Like if he comes out and the Jets get shut out in the first half, do you go to Boyle or Siemian in the second half?
It'd have to look really bad to me to do that. I just don't think it's not like that. Like Mike White last year, you had Mike White last year kind of lurking in the background, and you thought, okay, he could be better than Zach. I'm not sure they think that with these two guys, but I'm not seeing practice, so I don't know what's happening in practice. Maybe they're getting closer, but I don't know if they're still. I think they would point to it and say, hey, we won 4 games with him at quarterback.
I almost wish they lost these games. Like, I almost wish they lost. That Chiefs game ruined everything, I feel like. I almost wish they got clobbered by the Chiefs, because it's like, look what he did against the Chiefs. Look, we beat the Eagles, which, I mean, that win still looks good because the Eagles haven't lost anyone else. But
look, a week ago, we were talking about what he did with 24 seconds left in the game, right? And he marched him down the field. So there's been glimmers, but it's just it's year 3. It's time to move past the glimmers.
they dominate time and possession. They dominate, Justin Herbert, 5 sacks on him, although the Chargers had 8 on the Jets. But everything was set up for them to win, and they just scored 6 freaking points. And
so, Jake, you bought tickets last night to the game. You sat in the end zone.
Unfortunately, yeah, it was corner 118, corner end zone. Yeah.
So you didn't really get to see much of the Jets, huh?
I was like, I'm going to see a touchdown here. I saw nothing. Absolutely nothing. Field goals.
Pro
And those
tip.
were on the other side. I didn't even get the field goal on my side. It was the other side. It was a mile away.
Pro tip: if you're buying Jets tickets, don't buy them in the end zone. They don't get there very often.
And listen, those are cheaper. I can't afford 50-yard line lower level, and I wasn't about to sit up top because the way out when you're up top is even more miserable. At least when you're lower level, you get out pretty quickly. That's my favorite part about it. I probably left with like 3 minutes left and headed to the train. The highlight of the night, Kaj, was on the train ride back. I'm stuck at Secaucus, and the guy behind me, the song "Ski Yee," the popular song during Hard Knocks, they played that and we're singing that. But that's it.
Were you surprised at how many Chargers fans there were there, Jake?
Not really.
I didn't know there was that many Chargers. I mean, it wasn't like it was crazy. It wasn't like it was a Steelers crowd, but
you got to remember they play here once every 7-8 years.
I know, but there's not many Chargers. I didn't think there. I don't know any Chargers fans in my life. You know what I mean? I can usually find. I know Cowboys fans. I know Steelers fans. Like those teams come in, I expect the crowd to be. Chiefs are winning all the time now. I'm sure there's a lot of young people who like the Chiefs now because they're the it team and Patrick Mahomes. But Chargers, I was like, I was surprised at how many powder blue jerseys I saw in the crowd last night.
A couple of things. I think one, you have the San Diego fans, you have the LA fans, and New York is a melting pot of everyone. So you're gonna have your LA, San Diego people live here. You play once every 7-8 years. People on the West Coast will use this as their vacation in New York. I mean, people coming to New York. I mean, they're not coming to visit East Rutherford, but they come here and it's once a decade, I guess.
Jaded East Rutherford and Secaucus.
It wasn't moving.
Just stay out of New Jersey, Jake. All right.
We needed this guy running for the Jets. Was the train conductor had to go from one side to the other to open up the doors. I'm like, do you not have the technology in the back of this train to open up these doors? So we had to open up the hole. We were the Jets offensive line, we're the fans, and open up the hole. But what a waste. The hype leading up to it was great. The Jets do a tremendous job with the lighting, the hype, and it almost like it was an omen when friend of the program now, Mr. Thomas Morstead comes out with the flag coming out to open up the team. While it was fun, it was a sign that he was going to be the most used player of the night, having a punt all the time. That was
and they give a punt return for a touchdown.
Was that on him? No, right? I mean,
he outkicked this. I mean, he outkicked his coverage. Like that was not a good punt, but I'm not going to put it all on him.
You got to make a tackle too.
Guys that can make a tackle. The guy made a nice return. He really did a nice job, but. I don't know if you remember this, Jake. It reminded me of back in 2012. It was actually the Chargers as well. The Jets played the Chargers in their last home game in 2012, and that was Mike Westhoff's send-off. So they introduced Westhoff before the game and gave him like a nice little tribute, and they gave up a punt return for a touchdown in the first quarter. So maybe stop honoring the special teams guys before the games. Just cut it out.
Yeah, it wasn't Aaron going out there, but the highlight once again pregame is 3-step drops, throwing the ball down the field. But if this is a downward spiral, just take a vacation. There's no need to come back. If you're 6-9, you have to. The last number, game has to mean something.
What's the number? Like, let's go Texans, right? I think that'd be like the earliest you would think he'd come back, right? That's like a month from now.
December 10th.
So they've got 1, 2, 3, 4 games between now and then. So what would they have to be to like 6-6? Is he coming back? Do they have to be 7-5?
I didn't think he'd be back that early. If he's back Texans game, I'll take it.
I'm taking that's the earliest I think it could possibly happen, right?
Yeah. I think 6-6. I think if you're 5-7, he would have to win out. That's just a lot to ask of him. If he's in a spot where he has to go, 3-1, 4-1, I think that's fair. But 6-6. You got to beat the Raiders and you got to beat the Falcons. Those are the ones.
What about Cleveland? Like if
they'd have to be 8-8. 9,
I guess by the Cleveland game, you're going to know what the situation is to make the playoffs. So.
You'd have to be 8-7.
If they're live for the playoffs, he could come back then.
Yeah, and even at this point, I don't know if 10-7 with the tiebreakers might not get. I mean, this is a big one if the Chargers stay in it, because now you're going to lose the tiebreaker to them.
Well, the North teams are going to beat each other up a little bit, right? So the North is not going to have all 4 teams in the playoffs. They'll beat each other up, but it's there's some interesting teams. The Chargers are interesting. The Texans are interesting. Jets get a head-to-head with the Texans in December. So we'll see. The Bills are
Yeah,
a weird team.
yeah, I think the Bills will get it right. I mean, this is weird. The Dolphins, they're coming down to earth here, like the Chargers. I don't know the AFC North. They might beat each other those games, but they're winning. If there's one odd team out, I'd say the Steelers. I think the Browns defense is really, really good. And I think the Bengals might go on a Super Bowl run. I think they're playing that well. Joe Burrow healthy. The Bengals only at 5-3, but they're winners of 4 straight, and they look scary. They're clicking. And the Ravens, that was your, I think, Super Bowl pick last year. They're a
Yeah,
team really clicking right now. At 7-2, and they got a third string running back running for touchdowns. Like they got everything going right there. So AFC is pretty stacked. So 10-7 maybe gets you in. Jets ain't going 11-6 now. I mean, this is it, and this is just it was almost like what has happened to the team that just won 3 in a row, and
yeah,
they
but
had
I mean, Jake, if you're really honest with yourself, 2 of those wins were like pull them out of your what
yeah.
wins. Like the Eagles win was impressive because it was the Eagles. No matter how you beat them, like that's the Jets are still the only team who've beaten the Eagles, right? So I'm not taking anything away, but like if you're looking at it from 50,000 feet and going, okay, did we play really well in this game on offense? No, like they didn't. They pulled it out with the interception at the end, and then the Giants game was a slop fest where I still don't know how the Jets won that game.
Yeah,
you know,
that masked their issues. That game, that
I
that
mean,
should
I
have been
think
a
everyone was
loss.
honest. I think people were being honest. They knew that it was ugly. I don't think people were pretending after that game, but
But I think if they have lost that game and lose this one, I think your answer to Zach being benched is different. I think he is
yeah,
benched.
I think
You're
you're right.
what 5? Yeah,
I think you're right. I mean, I think what he did with 24 seconds left bought him some equity, right? I think that was, and you saw it, Jake. They came out the beginning of this game in hurry up. They were running tempo. I think that was because they saw that. It's funny because fans and media say that all the time. Is like, oh, the guy looks more comfortable running a 2-minute drill, and coaches usually poo-poo that. They did it because they saw it. I think they saw he was effective in that, and it just did not work against the Chargers.
and it's funny after the game, and I think it was your question where did Zach get worse, or was this his worst
Take a
game? What
step
was
back. They
did
take
he
a
take a
step
step
back.
back? It's almost funny that he's like it's not his worst game. Well, of course he's had 4 interception games, and that's like a sign that this isn't his worst. It
Yeah.
shows how bad it's been over 3 I mean, the Jets owe the fan base an extra 3 years of life. Like
Yeah,
that.
and here's the thing, Jake, is like that you've seen a lot of bad offense and stuff, but like when Darnold was here, it was like he had no one around him that was really talented. Robbie Anderson is probably the best player he played with, and you look at this offense, and there's Garrett. Garrett is a legit number 1 receiver. Brees Hall is a legit number 1 running back. Alan Lazard had a terrible night, but he's an NFL receiver. Like he's not what some of these like what the Jets had rolled out sometimes in the past. Conklin's a good tight end. There's talent there, and it's just but nothing's happening.
Lazard, I hate to say it, but I mean, 4 years, $44
But
million.
like I just say, don't overreact to this game. He injured his knee in practice on Friday. Played. I
That's
don't.
true.
So like, yeah, he's not going to be worth the money they're paying him. But I'm not saying that, but I just wouldn't overreact to this game. He had a
But
terrible, I don't know if his.
it shows you that you needed another receiver. And I know there might not be guys, but even a Donovan Peoples, a body, give me a live body that can catch a ball. And listen, Gibson
I
had
think
some
they argue
catches.
Xavier
Okay,
Gibson, like right. Xavier Gibson's going to play more now, so I think he's their kind of their trade deadline acquisition, so to speak, is that he's coming into play more.
I didn't think they did enough. I think, yeah. I mean, I said this in the open. It might not be true, but if Josh Dobbs is the Jets quarterback last night, they win the game. I don't think that you could say that's wrong, but I think they potentially win the game if he is the quarterback. And they put all their faith in
Maybe.
Zach. And I don't
I
know if
will
it's a
say,
Joe
I'll say
Douglas
this.
ego thing, if he doesn't want to admit
No,
that he was
no.
wrong on the pick.
Look,
But
let's get this straight though. They admitted they were wrong. They went out and traded for Aaron Rodgers. Okay, they admitted they were wrong. They got a new quarterback. He tore his Achilles. Now you can argue they should have gone further and said Zach's not even the number 2 quarterback, but that's a different argument. And it would have cost, it's going to, you're spending a lot of money at quarterback if you do that then. So, but they admitted they were wrong. This is not them still forcing Zach onto the field to prove they're right, because they benched him basically the end of last year, and then in the offseason they moved on. But it's just.
But I know the argument is you bench him now, he's done, he ruined his confidence. But you have to take that at this point. I think
I don't think that's the argument anymore, Jake. I think we're done with that. Like I said, like they've benching him last year was that. Right. Like, and they played Joe Flacco in the last game last year rather than put Zach Wilson up there. That was his confidence was gone after that. And they moved on from him this offseason. So I don't think they're worried about that anymore. I hope they're not worried about that anymore. I think it's truly is now a question of, does Simeon or Boyle give you a better chance to win? And like, just to these guys, I'm going to say they probably haven't taken any first team reps. I know Simeon hasn't. I'm going to guess Boyle hasn't either. So that's something. I mean, to Jake, like I said at the beginning, Zach is the number one problem, but you also have to. I mean, whoever's back there is going to get killed right now. Like, this offensive line is in a bad way, and maybe they get Dwayne Brown back this week, and that would help the issue a little bit. But they're in bad shape right now.
But I'm just tired of the excuses for him, because other teams go through similar things. I know the Jets have had it to extremes, but like the truthers who want to, he completed 33 passes and he threw no interceptions. Just throw the whole stat book out the window. It doesn't matter. Last night, that doesn't matter. And Kaz, and I said this in the open, like, first down run. If you had to take a shot for every Jets first down run, you'd be in the hospital right now. And you'd be dead. Every time. And I'm not going to go out and say reverse, whatever. Throw it on first down once. It was so predictable. Halfback draw, handoff. Like, do something.
Play action. I'd like a play action pass on first down. Yeah. I mean, again, a few things can be true. Zach Wilson is playing poorly. Nathaniel Hackett is terrible. He's a terrible play caller. I mean, I was not in favor of firing Mike LaFleur last year. I thought LaFleur did a good job. I thought it wasn't his fault. I thought he tried a lot of stuff. It just, the offense, he had a horrible quarterback situation, and that was his downfall. But I thought there was more glimmers with him. Hackett. So far, Hackett's shown me that he's friends with Aaron Rodgers. That's been his biggest contribution to the Jets, right? Rodgers is probably here because of Nathaniel Hackett, and that's something. But we got to see a little more than that. And forget it, just like the running game is non-existent right now, Jake. Like, they can't run the ball. And they're just doing what do they do well on offense? Like, that would be my question to Nathaniel Hackett right now is, what's your calling card? Like, you need to play. What do you guys do well?
They commit dumb penalties well. They're very good at that. They're good at committing dumb. I mean,
those are at 3.
There was a string of how many in a row? I lost track. I think the White Claws were going down. I think they had like 3 penalties in a row.
And amazing too, like the bad sacks they take to knock them out of field goal range or deeper field goal range. Like,
the fumble sack pissed me off, because how did he think he had any chance? Like, he has the ball out here when he has like 6 Chargers defenders around. That's the time I would have took the sack.
The first one you talking about?
The one that led to the Chargers touchdown. I think the second quarter, maybe.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was the second quarter.
I think it was maybe first quarter.
First quarter, yeah. Sorry, first quarter. Yeah, because that's a 50-yard difference in field position in the ball. Because you punt there at the 50 with Morstead, you're within the 10. And that's how the defense is playing. You're getting it right back. So that's 7 points. The punts, I mean, I don't even want to go through it.
They get the ball the 11-yard line too. Remember, Jay? They go down to the 11 in the second. I think it was the second quarter, and he gets sacked twice. And now all of a sudden you're kicking a 47-yard field goal. Like, oh my God. And you didn't stay to the bitter end, right, Jake? You left.
I left with like 2 or like.
I mean, the amazing thing, they drive down. They had the ball inside the 10. They couldn't score.
I was following on my phone. I was trying to watch
a touchdown, and oh my God!
I was trying to pull a Beningo and watch on the big scoreboards outside because he left early the Giant game, and I was like, can Brees Hall get, I might have had a shekel on Brees Hall scoring a touchdown, and that didn't happen.
Oh,
But he wasn't even a game. I mean, every play was a dump off I saw to Michael Carter in the end,
yes.
which makes sense. You're not going to risk Brees getting hurt there in garbage time. But, it's time. Just bench him. I don't care if it's Simeon or Boyle at this point. Give me a live body at quarterback that's not named Zach Wilson. We're on 3 years of this garbage. Every excuse in the book. Time's up. You're playing the Raiders. I'm going to say it's a must win because at this point, this team is not beating the Bills. I don't care. They're not beating the Bills in Buffalo.
They
They're
beat
not
the
going to
Bills already this season.
I don't care. They're going to Buffalo. It's going to be cold. They're not going to beat the Bills. They're not going to beat the Dolphins on Black Friday. That's a game.
Why?
I was going to fly back that Friday morning
why can't
from
they beat the
Charlotte
Dolphins? Why
to
can't they
go
beat
to
the
that game. I cannot fly back. I need to spend family time over watching this. Unless they make a quarterback change or Aaron Rodgers is back.
Why can't they beat the Dolphins?
They can, but with the way this if Zach Wilson is the quarterback on Black Friday, I'm going shopping for a new one. I'm getting a discount on another quarterback on the scrap heap. I don't care. Bring back Chad Pennington. I don't care anymore. This is just getting ridiculous. And, bring back, Darrell Revis at halftime. Just put him on the field. I don't care. I'm just kidding. The defense was incredible. The Jets are 4-4, and we'll preview on Thursday the game on Sunday, which, how do you do this to the national audience? Prime time football.
Have you looked at the 3 primetime games this week, Jake?
What is Thursday?
Call up the schedule in front of you and look at those. Check out the 3 primetime football games that America is getting this week.
On Thursday, it'll be the 1-7 Panthers against the Badgett-led 2-7 Bears. On Sunday night, it'll be Aiden O'Connell against Zach Wilson in a quarterback doozy. And on Monday night, to cap off the crap show triple trifecta of primetime football, it's Sean Payton's dumbass going to Buffalo to take on the Bills. That game at least means something to the Jets, but the Bills, I think, are just
Jake,
that might be a 72-3 Bills over the Broncos.
Jake, how's the love life right now? We haven't talked in a while. Do you have a significant other? Anyone you're dating?
No, still no one.
All right. So anyone out there, this is the time where you go, honey, why don't we go to the movies instead of watching football on Thursday night, Sunday night, Monday night, whatever you want to do. Hey, why don't we take the kids, do something? Let's go out.
I got no one. I got no love, no child, no dog, just me and my fat stomach, guys. That's all I got.
This is the weekend to score brownie points, fellas.
My love life is shrimp lo mein on Sunday nights. That's my love life, and boneless spare ribs with shrimp fried rice.
Wow.
That is my Chinese food is my love, and chicken parm heroes are my love. I had a bad meatball hero at the game last night. They ran out of cheese. How do you run out of cheese? They're like, sorry, we have no cheese left. You just had the meatballs on the side.
I blame Zach Wilson. He must be in charge of ordering the cheese.
Yeah. I blame Zach. Blame him for everything. For the fans that are still like, Zach's not the problem. There's other problems around him. There are other problems around him. You need to see a doctor. He is the problem. Dr. Kaz will help you. He'll prescribe a medicine. And the medicine right now is Tim Boyle or Trevor Siemian. Make the change. Jets Raiders, Sunday night. We'll preview that game Thursday. We'll close this episode of Gangs All Here next. Oh, righty. By the way, I didn't say to Kaz on air. I told him off air. There was a fan in the row behind me listening to the show. Thanks for tuning in. That recognized me. And he said he's a big Kaz fan. I told Kaz, I was like, you have at least one Jet fan who likes, maybe he's lying to me. But he said, he loves Kaz. I'm like, wow. Good. There's a lot of Jets fans that do not. So it was nice to talk to one that actually likes Kaz. And appreciate you listening to Gangs All Here. As that wraps up episode 61 of Gangs All Here, a New York Jets podcast on the New York Post. Follow me on Twitter at Jake Brown Radio. Follow Kaz at Brian Kaz. Catch up on all old episodes you may have missed by subscribing to Gangs All Here on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. Give us a 5-star rating, write a nice review, and watch us on the New York Post Sports YouTube page. Give us a thumbs up below. Comment below. Is it time to bench Zach Wilson? The answer is yes. Let us know what you think about the quarterback situation and what you feel about the Jets. I know the defense, there's encouraging signs, but we can't keep saying that at this point. The offense has to show up and play like an NFL offense. And we continue to see teams with random quarterbacks that you've never heard of show up and score points, or quarterbacks that are backups and third stringers come up and show and score points. It's time for the Jets to do the same. Enough's enough with this garbage. So let us know in the comments. Do you want Simmons? You want Boyle? Do you have Zach on a short leash on Sunday night? Prime time again. I'm sorry in advance to the national audience. Thanks to Andrew Hartz and the intern Mason Verdicchio for helping me in producing the show. Kaz and I will be back on Thursday. For Brian Costello, I'm Jake Brown. We will talk to you Thursday as we preview Jets Raiders on Sunday night. Thanks for listening, everybody. The gang's all here. We'll talk to you Thursday. Peace.